All right, everybody. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stack. I'm here with Steven's Best Loot. Steven, listen, my audience is usually pretty critical. They see a younger guy on the screen. They're like, what the heck is this person doing here? Can you just tell people briefly kind of like why you are being interviewed by me right now, why you're kind of, a big deal and what you've become in really a short amount of time with precious metals?
Well, hello, everybody. I seek to educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to start with, I've been into precious metals since about 2005. That's when I started buying a lot of gold and silver. I got interested in it. It's right around the time I was getting out of high school. I got interested in investing and, how do I really secure my future, and reading a lot of books and different things on investing and building a future for myself. And precious metals came up quite a bit as something that should be part of your portfolio and part of your investments. And as I started buying stuff, the first few years, it was just kind of buying for investment purposes. And then obviously, like a lot of your audience, I fell in love with, there's just something about it. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe. There's something about gold and silver, for me, silver in particular too, that just kind of gets you hooked. And so I bought for a lot of years. And then around 2019, 2020, I set up my Instagram page as mainly an exit strategy. I know you've probably talked about with your audience before, and I talk about with my followers, that it's always good to have an idea of an exit strategy, whether that's selling to a local shop or what it is. But being in the community as long as I had, I knew that, my best bet was to sell to other community members. They're going to pay me the best prices for my metal if I ever wanted to get rid of some stuff. And as I set up my Instagram account and started getting a following there, I realized there was a lot more demand for metals out there than I realized. There's a lot of demand for education on metals, which I think you and the other YouTubers, probably see quite a bit as well. I mean, you have 40,000 some odd followers on your channel. So there's a lot of people looking for information about metals, wanting to get into it, wanting to learn about it. And it eventually evolved into a business. Late 2020, the pandemic definitely probably helped because a lot of people were locked at home for a few months. But my page had grown so big that late 2020, I actually left my job at that time. I was in management for a retail company. I was like a regional area manager type of thing, built my way up to that level, and left that to buy and sell metals full time. And so that's what I do now. I buy and sell, gold, silver, bullion, collectible coins, specialty items, all that kind of stuff, purely through social media, mostly through Instagram. But I do have a YouTube channel as well that I started putting a lot of effort into the last few months, as well as TikTok and all the other platforms, but really kind of communicating precious metals and the community to people my age, people in their early 30s to late 20s that are interested in this stuff, but don't really know where to go. And they wouldn't know to go to a coin shop necessarily. They wouldn't know to go to a coin show, but they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on these platforms spending a lot of time and looking at investments or other things like that. And then they find me, and through me find people like you, and are able to absorb a lot of the content, informational stuff, which is what I'm also trying to work on building and putting out there. So yeah, that's a real synopsis backstory.
So a couple little snippets here, just real quick, like a one-word answer. Are you a bullion dealer?
I mean, I guess one word answer would be yes.
I think you are. I mean, here's the thing is I've seen your setup when you go live on Instagram, and you're selling a lot of product. To me, as somebody who I have my own website too, where I sell, some bits and pieces, some extras here and there. And I see a lot of people that are doing that. They're calling themselves bullion dealers, but you are selling volume, not on a scale of like, one of the big companies out there, but for basically just out of your home, right? I mean, you're doing a lot of business just from your home.
Yep. Well, and it's interesting, I mean, it's hard to gauge like how much everybody does, right? I mean, who knows, because Atmex is privately held company, JM Bullion and A-Mark are all privately held companies. And Bullion in a sense is almost like a payment processing. It's not really selling a retail product necessarily. I mean, there's some of that involved, obviously, because there's different choices in your silver, but it's really converting from fiat currency into precious metals, right? And there's a much lower margin because of that. So a lot of money and a lot of product moves hands. And it's interesting because I'm a little naive, I guess, to my influence or how much I built on the business, but bringing that up made me think of I was talking to a wholesaler recently, one of the largest bullion wholesalers in existence, at least in the U.S. They are one of the 5 people that can buy directly from the U.S. Mint, and they had called me about an air with an order and stuff, and I was talking to them, and they were actually bouncing an idea off of me for some stuff. And I gave him my opinion. And after I gave him my opinion, I started explaining my business. And the guy said, "Oh, I know, I follow you on Instagram."
Nice.
And so, I mean, I think the social media piece is starting to bring it to a lot bigger audience. And I think a lot of the big companies are starting to pay attention. Will that be a good thing for the space or a bad thing for the space? I mean, that's left to be seen. But yeah, I think there's a lot more people looking to buy metals person to person. That's why I kind of hesitated when you called me a bullion dealer, because at the end of the day, everybody's interacting with me, I think of some of these big dealers. I think of, the big websites and all of these kind of companies. And, I am doing the same thing as them, but I'm also, it's a mom and pop type of business. So all the interactions go through me. As of right now, every package is packaged by me or the wife. And we ship hundreds out a week, but it's all done by hand.
All of those boxes behind you, those monster boxes, have those all been completely full at one point?
Oh yeah, this is just my empty extras that I keep. A lot of times customers request them, so I sent out 3 or 4 monster boxes this week, actually. So, as they come in, a lot of people don't buy monster boxes of coins. Some people do, but, most people buy 1 or 2 of a coin. And so after I sell through the monster boxes, I end up with quite a few extra. Some of them I use for, my own personal stack and stocking stuff away, like the British Mint ones, which is the black one up there. That one fits 10-ounce bars really well and kilos and stuff. Great for the safe. But then the other ones I'll send to customers when they request it, or I'll package up an order in it or something like that. So that's just extras.
Yeah, I'm guilty of not buying an entire monster box one time, but I'll definitely buy an empty monster box. I've done that before. It's great to hold stuff in, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they build them to, be thrown down a staircase, it seems like, because they are hardcore. They're thick, dense plastic. So
I want to talk about you. So this was an exit strategy. So you've said that, but starting out as, and I'm calling you a bullion dealer now. I mean, you seem like you're kind of a lot bigger than I am when it comes to dealing with that stuff. What was the starting up like? I mean, can anybody just go like, "Hey, I'm going to start selling precious metals, in quantity right now"?
Yeah. Well, I think I think yes, to a certain extent, anybody could. But I think to grow and scale does require some knowledge and stuff of business. Because the one thing with the bullion game and coins, numismatics, everything in general, kind of what I mentioned earlier, is it is a fairly low margin business, right? I've ran other types of businesses from a managerial standpoint, and in a lot of those businesses, like let's say a phone charger, okay, is a good example. Phone charger, if you go to your 7-Eleven or you go to your Best Buy or whatever, Fred Meyer, Oh shoot, that's local. You guys want to know that Safeway, anything like that. Phone chargers like what, $20 or so. Well, they're buying that manufactured in China for $1 or $2 in bulk. So they have, 1,000% return on that product. Versus when you're buying and selling coins, you're buying and selling them with a very slim margin. Maybe an American Eagle you're making 25 or 50 cents on. So it does take a lot of volume of product to make a lot of money. Now, what I started out doing, and what I encourage a lot of people that follow me and stuff to do, is to, flip some of the popular stuff. Because there is a lot more margin on that. You have a Wolverine there on your screen. When those came out, those were like about 25, $28 because spot was lower then. Now those sell for around $50. So, anybody can go on to AppMex or JM Bullion or any of these sites, and when a new release, something like that comes out, if you think it's cool, there's probably other people that are going to think it's cool. And if it's a limited mintage and they don't have a ton of them that are going out there, well, you could buy up 5 or 10 of those and then wait and see what the price does, right? And if the price on those goes up once they sell out, then you could keep 1 or 2 for your stack and then sell the rest. And that's actually what I was doing in the beginning. It wasn't about a business, wasn't about making profit. I was purely growing my stack. Especially at the beginning of the pandemic, silver and gold was so cheap. I wanted to try and accrue as much of it as I could, and so buying something like those Wolverines, buying a tube of them, keeping 5 and then selling the other 15 to completely pay for those 5. And now I'm adding 5 ounces to my stack for basically $0. That was an awesome idea in my mind. And, it just grew and grew and grew to a point where I was making profit off the business, and I was doing so much volume that there was no reason to not lean in 100%,
Yeah. We're talking flipping when we're talking about buying these from the websites and then selling them back for more. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great strategy. And like you mentioned earlier, selling to each other rather than relying all the time to okay, I got to sell some of these things to a shop. When you go to a shop, it's really great sometimes to offload a bunch of bullion products, just regular bullion products. But some of these collector's pieces, that will not be your best bet.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to relationships with local shops too. Depending on how comfortable you feel with something like that. I know, you have a wide amount of viewers on your stuff, but if you're somebody that's okay making a relationship, think about the relationship with your shop owner like you would the relationship with the people at your local bank that you use. You want to stay on kind of good friendly terms, because if your exit strategy is to sell to the shop, if you don't want to make a silver YouTube page or a silver Instagram page or anything like that and try and sell to the community, if you're going to be selling to a shop, it definitely pays to have that good relationship. I've sold to shops in the past, when I was purely a collector. And, when I wanted to get bigger pieces, but didn't really have the money, like my first 100-ounce bar, I traded in 5 10-ounce bars to a shop to be able to afford my first 100-ounce bar. And, I didn't get that great of a deal there. Now I've sold stuff to other shops where I built a really good relationship, and I say, hey, how much are you paying for these? I got a tube of Eagles, for instance, I want to get rid of. And they're like, well, we're paying, just throwing fake numbers out here, we're paying, $32 for Eagles right now. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I really want to trade in for this. Is there anything better you can do? And they're like, well, if you're going to buy some here, we'll give you 34 an Eagle, if you're going to pick that up, so having that relationship and that business partnership almost with your shop owners is important. I'm sure, you and Coin Guy seem to have a great relationship. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There's deals he'll make for you, or, if you're trying to liquidate something to buy something else, he'll help you out with that.
Well, not just Coin Guy, but other shops around me. I'm a constant, going in there, giving them money, basically, doing business with them. Some of them I even promote. So there's even times now where we've got to the point where they know what I like. and they'll have it on standby, or they'll give me a call saying, hey, I got that, piece that you love, you got the money right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come in there. It's got to that point. And so, yeah, like you said, the better the relationship is, I mean, the better it's going to benefit you as a collector, as a stacker. And then at some point when you have to offload something, it's going to benefit you there too.
Well, yeah, I mean, same thing on my end of the business, right? I'll cut deals for people that do a lot of business with me, or people that are just nice in general. Like me and you have been friends for probably a year, right? Or 6 months at least before you bought anything from me. And you were looking for a big piece, and I cut you a little break on that, not because you're spectacular as a silver stacker or anything, but because you've been a nice, cool guy to me for a long time and been supportive. So
I'd come into the lives, hang out.
Yeah.
I wasn't negative. I wasn't trying to ruin your business. I'm trying to hang out and, benefit you, I think, a little bit by showing that there's more numbers in your chat. And sometimes it's good to hang out. I have fun just hanging out with like community members in a chat like that where they're buying and you get ideas. So yeah. That's all fun for me. And yeah, you cut me a deal and I appreciate that. That was that Kilo
Libertad. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Everybody loves that when they see it on my channel now. So thank you for hooking me up with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what the community is all about. From the way I see it, it's support, right? Whether it's you're trying to sell something, you're trying to buy something, you're trying to start a YouTube and you need followers or you need likes, or you're starting a program where you have an affiliate link, or you're selling merch, or I mean, there's all sorts of different levels of support. And I think the more we support each other, especially the people bringing good stuff to the community. And I don't want to toot my own horn and say look at that beauty. I don't want to toot my own horn and say I'm God's gift to the metal community or anything like that, because I'm definitely not. You have a much bigger platform than I do. Silver Dragons, a lot of people have bigger platforms than I do. But I try and support everybody. I've had custom bars made by pour artists that are part of the community, MK Bars, people like that. All of my merch is made by community members, fellow stackers that have embroidery. My stickers are made by fellow stackers. My all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I always try and support the other people in the community, even if it costs a few bucks more or whatever else. I think that's important for us to all do that. I try and like your videos and leave comments when I'm on my PC watching them. I'm guilty of watching a lot of your videos on my TV and then I can't leave a comment, but all that kind of stuff, it all helps, right? It all helps. It all helps grow the community, support one another in what we're doing. And I think that's really what it's all about. I mean, that's what I love about it. And that's what made me fall in love with the social aspect of metals. Cause I collected metals for a long time and it was very isolating, because other than the coin shop owners and stuff, there was no one to really talk to about it. And, my wife would go crazy when I started talking to her about metals too much. But man, when I found Instagram and Facebook and all the social networks, and, now I spend all day talking to people about metals. It's fun.
Right on. You talked about keeping it in the community, and I try my best to do that whenever I get a chance. For instance, like my logo, the whole thing right there was made by Flatline Racer. He's always been promoting, appreciating the silver community. And then the mat right here that I got was actually made by Okie Stacker, which is in the community too. So I try to keep it there. Speaking of that,
hats. Yep.
You got your hats from who?
Okie,
yeah, he's a good dude, and he makes all kinds of things. I mean, I have some of those like plastic slabs where you put like the Wolverine stuff in there, and yeah, he's talented, that guy.
Yeah, the acrylic stuff. Yeah,
the acrylic stuff. That's right. Speaking of trying to share the love, I do want to ask if I can put you on YouTube, this thing right here. I think that's what you want to do. Also, I'll go ahead and promote you a little bit. If anybody wants to check out your YouTube, your Instagram, I'll have those links down there. And any links you want to give me after this is done, you can just tell me and I'll put them down below in the description of the video, if that's okay with you.
No, yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, Stephen, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say, because you have to buy in bulk, right? When you buy a mass amount.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say you buy and then something goes on in the world, blah, blah, blah. There's some news. As you get this big bulk order in, right, silver drops $2. What happens to you? What happens?
Well, that's an awesome question, actually. I'm glad you asked me that, because This is where I see a lot of people that are trying to sell gold and silver mess up. You have to adjust to whatever the market price is. So I look at my business at my scale. I hedge based on replacement cost. So some of the bigger guys, your APMEX, your AMark, your JM Bullion, those guys actually hedge with paper contracts. They hedge with short positions. So when they buy $1 million worth of silver, they sell $1 million worth of silver too via shorts. So that way, any market fluctuations doesn't really matter. They're just making the premium on the coin. Now, I'm not doing enough volume for that to make sense. Those are people doing tens of millions a week. So what I do is I base all my pricing off of replacement cost. So if I buy something, let's say at $26 an ounce, and by the time it arrives, I can now order the same thing for $24 an ounce. I'm going to price it based on that $24 an ounce price, not the 26 that I paid. And so what happens with that is when the market's going down, most of my product that I'm selling, I'm actually, if it's older orders, I'm losing money on it. But then the reverse is true. When the market's going up, then I'm making additional money on those products. So now when the market starts to rebound, I've been ordering at 24 and the market goes back up to 26. Well, now I'm pricing it based off 26, even though I bought it off at 24. So let's say I'm making $1 per coin. Okay. So when it went from 26 to 24, I was selling them for 25 bucks. So I was losing $1 per coin. But now I ordered at 24 and we went back up to 26. Now I'm selling it for 27. So I'm making $3 a coin. So between that up and down, it averages out to my same average margin, my same average profit. So that way I'm always able to sell bullion. I'm always able to be competitive with the price. But I'm making a little bit in the long run. I'm making enough to sustain a business in the long run. Where that gets difficult for people is it's hard to sometimes sell silver at a loss. I'm sure there's stuff on your table there that you paid for at a higher spot price. And even if I offered you a fair price now, you'd probably be like, well, no, I'd rather keep it at that price, especially with where we're at right now with spot. So people have a hard time letting go. And what I had to decide when I transitioned this to a business was, okay, here's my personal stack, which is all the stuff I've been buying for 15 years and stuff that I'm, still buying to this day, mostly stuff for my son now, because I had a son in 2019. And so I buy up a lot of 2019 stuff and tuck it away for him. Anything that's in for the business, I cannot have that emotional attachment to. And so, I told myself that, and I try and stand by it. It gets hard sometimes with cool stuff, but at the end of the day, if the market price went down, the right thing to do for the business and for the community is to adjust that price and make it cheaper. Now their premiums do come into play, and a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions about premiums where people think it's, the dealer's trying to get greedy and stuff like that. And maybe at the top that could be true. But I know from any coin shop you go into, any bullion dealer, someone like me on social or someone at a coin show or something like that, we're not making extra money off those premiums. That's coming from the top down. So, if the US Mint is deciding to charge $8 over for an eagle, so then my wholesalers sell it for $8.50 over to me, and then I sell it for $9 to you. I'm not making $9 on that eagle. I'm making 50 cents. And those are all fake numbers. I mean, premiums on eagles are even higher than that now, but just to give you an example. A lot of people out there seem to think dealers and stuff get stuff for melt or less than melt. That can be true when you're buying from the public, because obviously, the public will take whatever you offer to pay them. So, someone could walk in with a box of eagles, and a coin shop owner who's not, a very fair person could say, oh yeah, those are only worth, $21.50 today. I'll pay you that for them. And they could get all those eagles from melt and then turn around and sell them at, what's current eagles, like $14 over. and make a ton of money. That's totally possible. That could happen out there. But most legitimate dealers, most people that are going to be in business a while, most people that build a following like myself, don't do things like that because it's not fair, and that word gets around. It's a tight-knit community, you know. So, you know, people like Coin Guy, I'm sure if you went to sell him some silver right now, he's going to offer you over spot on stuff, because just about everything's selling over spot, especially if you go and sell him some Eagles. You know, he's probably going to offer you well over spot because he's selling them for well over spot. So that premium goes in both directions. And I think that's always something to remember. If spot's going down and premiums are going up, that's not actually necessarily a bad thing for the collector side of us. If I walk away from Steven in the business and look at Steven from the collector, when premiums go up and spot's going down, that means my stack is still maintaining a lot of value, even though spot's going down. And I think that's a good thing overall if you're somebody that's long-term in gold and silver.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody who's younger, I'm a little younger too. I think you're a little younger than me, right? I'm 38. You're,
oh God, 35 this year.
you forgot, huh? Isn't that crazy
Yeah.
how you end up forgetting?
After 21, man, it's just like nothing's, you know.
I forget how old I am all the time. It's just because to me, it's not important. I mean, I don't cry on my birthday like sometimes, you know, the ladies do.
And we all still feel like 25-year-olds too, you know, so.
I would like to be.
Aches and pains don't, but you know.
Oh yeah, I got some of those right this very moment, actually. But as a younger guy, I noticed, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem like you really pay attention to the data. And a lot of different investments, I've noticed that you are a data kind of guy. Is that right?
Yeah. I tend to be very analytical. I don't know if that's necessarily a younger generation thing or not, but that's just kind of what makes sense to me. There's a lot of emotional stuff in the market, whether it's the gold and silver market, the stock market, cryptocurrency market, Forex market. There's a lot of emotional stuff that happens and a lot of news and stuff that's out of your control. But at the end of the day, numbers don't lie, right? And that's tend to be why I focus on that stuff. Now, absolutely, it can be wrong because emotions and other things come into play. You know, who would have known Russia was going to try and take over Ukraine and cause gold and silver to go spiking on that particular day? I mean, God, we went up $4 or $5 in silver and $150, $200 in gold in like 24 hours. There's no analysis of numbers that's going to tell you that that's going to happen. But when you talk long term, over 10 years, 15 years, if you're siding with the numbers and the trends, I feel like you'll end up being right more times than you're wrong.
Yeah, that's really why I wanted to interview you, because you are knowledgeable on the data. I'm much less as far as the data than you are. And so I like to come to your lives and listen to what you have to say on the data, because I go like, okay, like it gives me some ideas of what's going on out there. Steven, this is going to be the tough question now. Okay.
Okay.
Is silver a good investment, and should it be your only investment?
So, see, I'll answer the second one first. I definitely don't think it should be your only investment. I'm pretty heavy into metals, both because I love them, and I think there's a lot of upside potential, particularly in silver. But I think everyone should, try and spread out their stuff as much as they can. Any financial advisor you ever talk to, and, I'm not a financial advisor, Speg's not a financial advisor, but any financial advisor you talk to usually tells you to diversify and not put all your eggs in one basket. So I definitely wouldn't go mortgage the house and buy silver. That's never a good idea. Now, as far as, is it a good investment long-term? I personally think so. I think silver in particular, and these metrics might have changed a little bit, but last time I really researched it, around 85% of the silver that comes out of the ground is being used in industry, whether that's electric car batteries, solar panels, the medical field. There's a lot of uses for it because it's it's sterile, so it's used in a lot of medical stuff for that reason. It's a good conductor of electricity. It's a low corrosion, all of that stuff. So it's used in a lot of newer technology. So a lot of the silver coming out of the ground is getting burned. It's getting used in these industrial processes. Some of it's recovered through recycling, but not all of it. Gold, on the other hand, now I own a lot of gold. I'm not bashing gold or anything, but comparatively, gold's like the opposite. Only like 10-15% of the gold pulled out of the ground is used in industry. Most of it is used in jewelry, bullion, personal items, stuff like that with gold. Gold is very, very malleable. It's very thin. And so when you talk about gold being used in circuit boards and stuff like that, they can coat just a fraction of a hair layer and get that conductivity they need inside of a computer or something like that. If you ever watch, there's a ton of people on YouTube that do refining, and you'll see them take a bag this big of cut off gold connectors from computers, and they'll refine it down, and it'll be, a teeny bit of gold, pure gold that they get out of it, a gram or two from a big old chunk of those computer connectors. So a lot of the gold that's coming out of the ground is going into stacker stacks, jewelry, stuff like that. Silver, that's not the case. And I think as long as silver keeps getting used in industry, it's a great value to put your money in. It's also been suppressed for a long time. Chase has gotten JP Morgan. JP Morgan has gotten caught a couple times falsely suppressing the price of silver, along with some other companies, because they need it for industry. And as long as they need it this much for industry and as much as being used in industry, there's going to be people that it benefits to keep the price down. So having some as part of your portfolio, having some at home in your investment stack, I always think is a great idea. And at the end of the day, if nothing else, it's great to have it for emergency money. Precious metals are probably one of the most liquid things you can buy, where you could take anything on that table that Spegtacular has. And if you live anywhere near a major city, find somebody to buy it at a pretty fair price within about a 30-minute drive. I live up here towards Seattle, and there's dozens of places within an hour drive that will buy gold and silver. That might even be wrong. There might be hundreds, to be honest, that will buy gold and silver at least at spot value, if not more. Car breaks down or some major life event happens, being able to grab that 10-ounce bar and free up, $200, $300 cash within a half hour, I think that would benefit a lot of Americans. Plus, one of the things I love about gold and silver is that you get to enjoy something you're buying. I buy a lot of investments. I have stocks and cryptocurrencies and NFTs and all sorts of other stuff, as you know, because you've been in my lives before. But I don't get to play with any of that as much. And when you spend money on gold and silver, you always still have the melt value. Regardless of premiums, regardless of if the coin's popular or not, or people are buying it or anything else, you still have the melt value. So what other hobby can you go and spend $100 on something and guarantee yourself that you're going to be able to get, $85-$90 out if you wanted to? I don't know of any. I'm into a lot of different things, and I like golf. If I buy a $300 driver, I'll be lucky to sell that thing for like 50 or 75 bucks once it's used. Yeah. If you buy a $25 1-ounce bar right now, you can sell it in a heartbeat for, at least $23, $24. And you're, if not more. But you know what I mean? So it's a hobby where what you're enjoying, what you're playing with retains a large portion of the value that you spent on it. And I think that's something that a lot of people kind of have a hard time wrapping their head around when they're first getting into it, is that when you spend $100 on gold and silver, you're not really spending $100. All you're truly spending is the difference between the spot price and what you paid. and you might be able to get some of that back too. But at the end of the day, worst case, that's all you're spending. So if you buy one of those 1/10 golds there for say $220, melt on them's about what, 190. When you spend 220 on that, you're not really spending 220, you're spending like $30 because you can recoup 190 of that, no problem.
That's a good point. Real good point.
Yeah.
Real quick, do you think that silver is going to the moon? It's going to $1,000? It's going to be, crazy expensive here in any kind of like short term?
I mean, I think it's going to go up short term because of what we have going on with inflation and all the money that was printed the last couple of years, and the commodity market as a whole is up quite a bit, and gold and silver is actually kind of lagging behind it. So I think in the short term, we should see some good increases in metals over the next 2 to 5 years. Now, I'm not one of those that's going to beat the drum and say $100 silver by the end of the year, $1,000 silver in 10 years or anything like that. I think there's way too many factors that go into a thing like that to really make any kind of accurate prediction. Now, what I've always said is for silver to moon, what most people would consider mooning, going way up 10x, 100x in price, it's going to be some pretty catastrophic events. And for me personally, I hope that doesn't happen. I think we've all been through enough the last couple of years. And, I'd love for my silver to go up in value. I'd love to see $30 again, maybe even $50 again. But $1,000 silver, $500 silver, whatever some of the people, predict. I personally wouldn't want to see that, because I think the conditions that allow for something like that to happen would be pretty traumatic for all of us. You're talking about a hyperinflation type scenario, world war type scenario, things like that, I personally don't want to see happen. I part of the reason I stack is to hedge against inflation, but I also don't want to see us go hyperinflation. I don't want to see $5,000 loaves of bread and stuff like that. I don't think that benefits any of us. Even if you're holding a bunch of metals, it's gonna mean a lot of pain and for all the people around you and all the people you care about. And I don't think any of us really want to root for that per se.
Yeah. I don't agree that it's going to go to the moon. Real quick, a lot of people have this question, right? So you are positive on silver. You think it's going to, you stack it yourself. You think it's going to do well short term. Everybody goes, well, if he believes in it, if he thinks it's going to do well, why does he sell it?
Yeah. And that's a fair question. And that's where the business comes in. So I am heavily invested in gold and silver myself, and I hold a lot of gold and silver. But I'm making money based on the in and out. I'm making money based on the converting the currency from fiat to precious metals. So if I stop selling it, I stop making money. And I still got to eat, and little Loot's got to eat, and Mrs. Loot's got to eat, and all of that. And fiat currency is how we function on a day-to-day until something changes. That's how we're going to pay the bills. So I have a personal stack that I've been working on for 15 years, and maybe even more than that now, 16, 17 years. But everything I'm getting in for the business is what I'm supplying out there to the public for them to be able to convert their fiat into precious metals. It's not stuff I'm buying to invest in myself. It's stuff I'm buying to provide out for all of you guys.
Right on. As far as selling goes, what's more difficult to sell, gold or silver?
Oh, that's a tough one. Gold is really easy to sell, but so is silver. Honestly, I don't have much problem selling either of them. The only reason I hesitate on that is silver's a lot cheaper. And so moving large dollar amounts of silver is harder than gold, but you're moving substantially more silver than gold, if that makes sense. Like if you said, Steven, I want you to sell $10,000 in metals today, pick gold or silver. I would pick gold in a heartbeat, because that's only like 5 ounces of gold versus, that's like 3 or 4,000 ounces of silver. But you're selling 4,000 ounces versus 5 ounces. So you're really selling a lot more silver. So yeah, I guess it just depends on whether we're gauging off weight or price. On price, it would definitely be easier to sell gold. On weight, I move far more silver than gold. Probably, I'd say 10x, maybe even like 20x. I haven't looked particularly, but it's at least 10x, if not even verging on like 100x.
As a shop, as a bullion dealer, let's not really call you a total shop. Let's call you a bullion. Does one benefit you better to sell?
Not particularly. Not particularly. My margin across the board that I work on is pretty much the same, whether it's on gold and silver. It's a low margin. But I pretty much pace it out the same. The one thing I would say that silver has going for it from a dealer aspect, or for any of you guys out there looking to flip coins, is silver has the opportunity to go up in value on an individual coin basis substantially quicker. Like that Wolverine we were talking about, you probably got that under $30 and now they're selling for 50. Well, I mean, that's nearly 100% increase in value. There's not many gold coins that have been minted the last few years that if you bought a 1 ounce gold coin, it's worth double today because of the collectability. Now, there's definitely some that are worth more than $20 more than you paid for it. But from a percentage standpoint, if you're working with a small amount of money, if you have $500 or $1,000 to flip coins, you're going to have a lot harder time doubling that with gold than with silver. So for the smaller flippers, I think silver coins, collectible coins definitely have a lot more upside potential. At my scale, with the amount of stuff I'm moving, thousands of ounces of silver a week, it doesn't really make a difference to me one way or the other. Bigger gold is teeny tiny margin, like 1 ounce bars and 10 ounce gold bars and stuff like that is a microscopic margin. But otherwise, for the stuff that most people buy, 1/10, 1 ounce silver, stuff like that, the percentage is pretty much the same across the board.
Beautiful. Good answer there. Yeah. Okay, Steven, here we go. Rapid fire questions. Okay. You got to have rapid fire answers on this. So whatever comes,
I'm long-winded, so I'll do my best.
No, rapid fire now. Okay. Whatever comes into your head.
Sure.
Here we go. Gold or silver?
Silver.
Junk silver or 999?
Junk.
Gold maple or gold buffalo?
Gold buffalo.
US mint or Perth mint?
I gotta say Perth.
Is platinum a good play? Yes or no?
Yes.
Spegtacular or coin guy?
Oh, spectacular all the way.
45th or 46th?
Oh, that's easy. 45th, man.
And that's it, man. That was rapid fire. You did well.
I like it.
I want everybody to know out there that Steven is actually one of us for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, there's some of us out there that are a little different for sure, but Steven is one of the normal, like you would think, collectors. Steven, fan of the Second Amendment?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, man.
I got a nice little 2A collection.
Yeah, he's one of us. So just FYI for people that are, curious about that. Younger guys these days, you know what I mean? They don't, you don't know where they're going to go.
Well, you know what I like about the gold and silver community too, not to go completely off topic, but like I said, I'm long-winded, man. That's why I do good on lives and stuff. But I love that. Yeah, me and you have a ton of similarities, and I'm sure with your viewer base, we have a ton of similarities. But as the community as a whole, even people under different political beliefs, religious beliefs, different thoughts on what's going to happen with the country and inflation and the world and global economy, all of that. When you get into people that like metals, there's always a lot of common threads, So even if you get somebody that's all about 46 and likes the direction we're going on a lot of things, I find myself able to still connect with them on a lot of things, whether that's, hey, we probably shouldn't have printed tens of trillions of dollars the last few years, and that's probably going to be an issue, and stuff like that. That I think if you're just a stacker, you end up finding a lot of those same common threads with people, even if they have some different viewpoints. I found that kind of interesting, because there's plenty of people that you can't find commonality with. I'm sure you've met plenty, and you're just like, what world is this guy living in? But if they have some silver and gold, there almost always seems to be a thread of something that kind of connects us.
Oh yeah, I don't think that anybody can say that printing all this money on any side that you happen to be on is going to benefit us and our children in the long run. Doesn't make a lot of sense. There's so many,
unless you don't understand how the economy works.
There's so many millionaires and billionaires right now in just America alone. Like, it's mind boggling. I remember when I was young and people talked about having $1 million and retiring. And if you have $1 million right now, like if I have $1 million right now, I'm good for maybe about 10 years. And that's all. And that's probably cutting it close a little bit with the way groceries have been going.
If you invested it well, yeah. Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts how much has changed over the last 2 years. I remember when this whole thing started, I started my page 3 or 4 months before the pandemic. And I remember I started doing lives right around the time the pandemic kicked off. And I remember saying on my lives that, like, everything's changing. The next few years are going to be very, very weird. And man, has that turned out to be a very good prediction, because it's been weird.
I remember at the start of all this stuff going on around 2019 or so, and then into 2020, started getting, everything's going crazy. People are going nuts in the streets, everything. I told my wife, I said, listen, like, I'm a young guy. And I told her just like this, I'm a young guy. I have never seen any of this kind of stuff in my life. I said, if somebody comes knocking on the door, don't answer. Because I don't know what's going on right now. I got to go to work, but just don't answer that door. Because the stuff I've seen on the news was just like, what is this? What's happening here?
Yeah, it got wild for a second, man. And I was my previous company, because when the pandemic started, I hadn't fully gone into the business until like July or August that year of 2020. So I was still, my previous business was an essential service. And so I was still going out in the field through all of that. And it was bizarre, man. It was bizarre being on freeways that are usually packed all day long, bell to bell with traffic, being able to basically like park my car in the freeway and dance if I wanted to. It was a weird world for a bit. And it's still weird, and we're dealing with the repercussions. And, I hate to say it, but I don't think any of this stuff's going to get fixed quick. I know our political leaders would love to fix it by, the next election or whatever, but I think we're in a minimum of 2 years, possibly 5 or 10 year type of thing here. Like, it's going to take a long time for us to truly get back to what we would consider normal.
You have to wonder that we've already gone down this path. We've already gone down. If they let's say they start fixing things, right? Will we still ever be where we was, or it's always going to be like we're behind now? I feel like we're always going to be behind.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to agree with that notion, but it certainly seems that way. Like, how do we truly ever catch up? Or do we just adjust to higher costs of goods, higher gas prices, disease prevention and things like that? I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened around rights and stuff that I know we don't want to probably dive too much into on YouTube, but me and you have talked about offline, and a lot of kind of vacating of certain rights that 3 years ago I would have thought were undeniable, and now are apparently revocable rights in our country. So yeah,
it just keeps scratching my head. We'll go back to the fun stuff to talk about here. Okay, so if you can give this advice, if you don't want to talk about that, let me know. But somebody who wants to be a Steven's Best Loot, right? Really wants to get in, not just be like a little stacker and sell some stuff on the side, but like really get into like the bullion game hard. What kind of money you think would it take to really start out strong as a bullion dealer?
Probably a quarter to a half a mil.
Yeah, that much. Wow.
Yep. That's why I recommend starting with the flipping, because that's honestly how I did. I mean, when I started really flipping stuff and doing this as a side business, I only pulled in about 10 grand of my personal money, which I understand is, it's a lot for a lot of people, but I had that available from investments and stuff to be able to put into something like this. And I was confident in silver and gold. And even if I lost money in the business, I would pull back most of it because of what we talked about earlier with silver and gold having inherent value economically. And, I think if it's something you're really into, if you're into coins, if you want to, do coin shows, do stuff on social media, do stuff on YouTube, all of that. I think if you put in whatever you're able to put in, $500, $1,000, 5,000, 10,000. If you're smart and you have a good business sense and you pay attention to, your profit margins and what you're spending on supplies and time and everything else, you can grow that pretty quickly. Because there's a lot of metal changing hands on a daily basis. It's something I say to a lot of sellers and stuff on Instagram, because a lot of people come to me for advice on growing their account or growing it into a business or things like that. And I say there's a ton of money out there in our community. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of very different facets of the community. There's people that only buy at coin shows, people that only order stuff from AppMex, people that only buy from their local shop. So there's tons of untapped market in this business. So if you're able to tap some of that and bring it in to the social media space, to Instagram, to Facebook, whatever it is, you're helping grow that market for all the sellers, not just for yourself. And a lot of people get really competitive and look at things negatively, and I've just never been that type of person. I mean, I think my business training kind of led me to not be, because I was in a sales-based business, and when you're in a sales-based business as part of a large company, you have to share your secrets. There's no secrets in sales. So if I'm doing something successfully, I have to share it with all my peers. And so, when you talk about now I'm running my own small business and there's people competing against me, I don't care about having a leg up on them because of some secret sauce that I'm doing. I try and execute well. I try and treat my customers well. I try and offer a good amount of diverse products. I try and do things that gives people, talk about interesting things on my lives, give people a reason to come back and continue to spend money with me, whether or not I'm the best price or the fastest shipping or X, Y, or Z, right? So I look at it from an execution standpoint and a creator standpoint, from content. And I think if somebody's starting out on Instagram, on Facebook, on any of the social media platforms, and approach it from that aspect, how do I make good content that's different from the other people? I think they'll do well, and that $500 will turn into 1,000, will turn into 2,000, will turn into 5,000, and you'll build up to that point. But it does take a lot of money. It's like I said, it's kind of a currency conversion business, and so you'll have people wanting to convert large amounts of money, and you have to have product on hand to be able to do that, right? And if you're only making, let's say just for a good average, like 50 cents a coin on a 1 ounce silver coin, that's 100 coins to make $50. That's 1,000 coins to make $500, and 1,000 silver coins is going to run you, about 25 grand right now. So I also live in a fairly expensive market, unfortunately. There's people in areas of the country that have a much lower cost of living and could probably be able to maintain their lifestyle with a little bit less. But yeah, that'd be my advice. Start out with what you have and just build it and build it and build it. That's what I did. And I mean, looking back now at the kind of volume I'm doing and the kind of exposure I get and how many packs we're shipping on a weekly basis, it's like I said earlier, I'm kind of naive to how much it's grown because I've been building it from a very small small spot to where it is now. And I've just focused on doing more things for the community, being better, coming out with cool new ideas and new ways of doing things.
Innovative.
Yeah.
If a Home Depot opens up right here and a Lowe's opens up right here, they're competitors. They got pretty much the same products, right?
Yep.
If a new business, new seller of bullion comes into Instagram or wherever they come that you're also selling, does that hurt you?
No, I don't personally think so. I think anyone coming in, as long as they're providing a fresh take, is going to bring in different people into the community, right? You know, there's people that consume your content and enjoy it, and they might not like Empire Precious Metals content. And then there's people that could love Empire Precious Metals and not really care for your content. So you're bringing different entities and different personalities and different people into the gold and silver community. So I think the more people that join, the better. I do everything I can to offer time to people not only getting into collecting, but people that want to get into flipping or selling or doing things like that. I started a consulting service earlier this year so that I could actually organize my time because I get asked a lot for advice, and I want to be able to give it in as organized and a concise way as I can. And so I like it. I like more people coming in as long as they're bringing something new to the table, bringing a fresh take. The only thing I would say, where I would get annoyed or frustrated is when people are coming in and coming in with a lot of negativity. I'm a real positive guy, and I try and look at everything on my account as if, what if somebody just found out about gold and silver today and looked at my account? And sometimes I'll take down posts because I realized I was being negative, and I wouldn't want that fresh eyes on there. But there are people, it's social media, you see it on YouTube, I'm sure, with your comments and everything else. There's people that, are angry or frustrated and could come in negatively. And I don't really like that because, like I said, I think about that new stacker, right? If you just found out about silver today and you pull up Steven's Best Loot page, and I'm the first page you find, and I have a whole bunch of negativity all over my page about, this person sucks or that person sucks or XYZ, you're probably gone. And, you're probably writing off the hobby and the community at that point. So my biggest request would be if people, limit that kind of stuff. I think that's best for everybody if we try and make the community as welcoming and positive as possible.
One thing on my channel that I try to have content for everyone, including, I don't want to say kids because YouTube had that whole thing where your content can't be meant for kids, but I want to have my content for everybody. So I don't know what kind of eyes are watching. I have my content that I feel that if my children start watching me, I'm comfortable with whatever they see on my channel. You know what I mean? I want to have it as welcoming as possible. And so I totally understand what you're saying. Steven, I've had you for a little while. I appreciate you coming on. Before I let you go, anything you want to say?
I'd say, I'd love it if you guys subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm really trying to build that channel up. It's pretty small right now. But the bigger it gets, the more content I'll be able to put out. And I'm one of those people that's going to, roll in all the support you guys give me into doing bigger and bigger things and better content, and try and bring some fresh stuff like, Speg's done with Coin Guy and a bunch of the things he's done on his channel that are really cool. All the fake versus real and stuff like that. I like coming up with new ideas. And so when I have more support in that area, it'll encourage me more and more to dedicate more time there. So I'd love you guys go over, subscribe to my YouTube. If you're not following me on Instagram already, Steven's Best Loot on Instagram. That's where I do the bulk of my communication with the community and share posts and do lives and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
If you check out Steven's Best Loot on Instagram, I guarantee you're going to get some really awesome deals. Not, some private deals between, you and him. It's good deals right out the gate for everybody. There's good deals on there. And you have some cool content on YouTube too. I think you're going to grow here very shortly because if you want to see somebody just unbox a ridiculous amount of metal, because you get all these loads in of stuff all the time, you're like, hey, I'm unboxing this, and you just got a ridiculous amount of things. I unbox like one thing at a time because that's all I can afford. But you're the dealer, so you show off.
Dude, that's the funnest thing about this job, man. I'll tell you what. Like last week, I got in 1,000 ounces of shot, and I posted a bunch of content with it. But I was like a kid in a candy store, man. I was playing with that thing for like 2 straight days. That big old tub of shot. It's great to be able to do this where it's something I truly enjoy, and I hope I never stop enjoying it, because I truly enjoy it now. And so getting all that stuff in is, I get excited, man. People have told me before, I used to do live unboxings on Instagram too, and people would message me like, dude, I could hear in your voice how excited you were about that.
Yeah, it's fun to see. I'm a bit of an old farm boy, I guess. You know what I mean? I used to have that kind of lifestyle, and I used to actually take the cracked corn, the big bags of cracked corn, stick my hand in there and feel it. I want to do that with silver shot. I want to get my hands in the shot and, just feel that.
That's what I was doing, man. I just was like playing with it like a sandbox. In fact, another stacker from the Instagram community comes over and helps me with packs and stuff sometime. I was telling him like, man, if I'm ever like a millionaire, I want to have like a sandbox just full of silver shot. Just playing it. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, Stephen, listen, man, I greatly appreciate you coming by and talking to me, and you're welcome back anytime. I'm sure that there's a lot more information you can give us. You are long-winded, which is great. It gives us a lot of information and insight to, somebody who built up from just being a flipper and trying to offload some things into an actual business now. And, it should be inspiring to a lot of people that want to do that, which I think right now, more than ever, people are thinking about that. So yeah, greatly appreciate it. Check out Stephen's Best Loot. And I'll have the information for him down in the description of this video. So should just be a nice little click away. And if you come to his Instagram live, you'll probably see me there occasionally. I go there and hang out. Don't always buy. Sometimes I just like to be around people that are buying and see what the prices go for. And it's a good, learning experience, I think, to just go there and see what's happening, and, kind of watch Stephen's Best Loot, see what kind of person he is, you know what I mean? Kind of observe him a little bit, see if he's the kind of person you want to do business with. I know that that's what I did at first. And then I ended up buying some stuff from him.
Yep.
So
and I appreciate all the support, Speg. Like I said, we've known each other for a little bit now, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and I hope to come out there to the fun show or something one of these days and get to meet up in person.
Yeah, well, between you and I was going to go to the one here pretty soon, but I think I spent all my money today, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going. There were some good deals in the stock market, so I'm going to try that out for a minute.
It's been tough not to buy stuff, with how cheap it is. Like, it's been tough.
Stephen, thank you very much for coming on here. Greatly appreciate it. Again, check him out. Description down below. You can check out his links and give him a follow there. He'd appreciate it, I'm sure.